Welcome to my channel. My name is Rhea, and in this video we are going to talk about the major astrological themes of 2023. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to talk about is Mars retrograde. As we enter this year in Jan, Mars is going to be retrograde till January 12th. It went retrograde last year October and it will be retrograde till Jan 12th. And this is important because as we enter this year, it can really feel like things are not moving, right? It can feel like things are stuck. It can feel like we're putting in the work, we're working hard, but where are the results? So that's the beginning of the year. And to add to this, Mercury is also retrograde at the beginning of the year. It will be retrograde till Jan 18th or so. So the first 2 weeks into 3 weeks of January can feel slow. Things can start to feel like they're moving after January 12th when Mars goes direct, but more after January 18th or 19th. The date can vary depending on your location because that's when Mercury will go direct. So that's when things can feel like, okay, things are moving a little bit more now. So the beginning of this year can feel slow, it can feel sluggish, it can feel like, things are not moving, and it can feel like, where's the result? Where's the result for all the work that I have been doing? But the result will start to show after Jan 12th, and more so things will start moving after Jan 18th, 19th. So that's the first highlight of this year. That's January. The second highlight of this year is March, right? Major events are taking place in March this year. The first one being Saturn changing signs. So Saturn changes signs every 2.5, 3 years, right? Since December of 2020, it has been in the sign of Aquarius, right? So since December of 2020, a certain theme has been very prominent in our lives and globally. Saturn in Aquarius is all about restructuring, right? Saturn is a planet that likes to restructure, it likes to reorganize, it likes to fix, it likes to bring to the forefront. And Saturn in Aquarius since December 2020 has been restructuring or putting our focus on themes associated with science, tech, innovation, rebellion, right? The internet, social isolation. All these themes are Aquarian themes, and they have been highlighted with Saturn in Aquarius. But March of this year, Saturn will enter the sign of Pisces, right? Pisces and Aquarius are very different energies, and it will be here for the next 2.5, 3 years. So now Saturn will come in and start to restructure or bring to focus Piscean themes, right? Pisces is associated with spirituality, right? That's a major part of Pisces. It's also associated with endings. It's the last sign of the zodiac. It is all about ending past chapters, letting go of past chapters. That's Pisces. Pisces has a lot to do with subconscious stuff, the subconscious mind. Pisces is also associated with escapism, right? Escapism could be through alcohol, it could be through drugs, it could be through video games, it could be through anything. So a very Piscean theme of escapism can be highlighted. Pisces is also music, right? So maybe some more focus on music. It's also glamour, right? Pisces, Neptune is glamour, so Pisces is also glamour. It's also media. So maybe we can see themes of media, of drugs, of alcohol, of addictions, of the subconscious mind, all these themes being restructured in a certain way. Pisces is also associated with healthcare, right? It's the 12th house. It's to do with hospitals as well. So maybe certain restructuring of the healthcare system, of the hospital care system, that sort of thing can also happen with Saturn in this sign. And March 7th is the date where Saturn will enter the sign of Pisces. Now moving on to the next important theme, Pluto is going to change signs. Now this is a big deal because Pluto changes signs Rarely, right? Last time it changed signs was 2008 when it entered Capricorn. Since 2008, it has been in Capricorn. It's really, really slow, right? And Pluto is this planet that likes to really transform things, right? It's this planet that will take something and totally change it. And often that happens through destruction. Often that happens through the death of something, right? So that something new can be created, something new can come about. So Pluto entered Capricorn 2008, and since then it has been slowly transforming Capricorn, right? Capricorn is associated with the highest of the high. It's associated with the businesses, it's associated with the authorities, the governments, that sort of thing, right? Capricorn is also a very traditional sort of sign. But now the themes will slowly start to shift. Pluto enters Aquarius on March 23rd. So we'll see a shift now. Now Pluto will slowly, over the next many years, begin to transform the Aquarian themes, right? Aquarius is science, it's tech, it's innovation, it's rebellion, it's freedom, it's peace, it's individuality, it's astrology as well. So we might see a lot of transformation start concerning these themes over the course of the next many years, right? And Pluto is going to retrograde back into Capricorn June of this year. So Capricorn themes of Pluto transforming the government, the authorities, the businesses, all that stuff is not yet complete. It's still left a little undone. But now is the point this year that we'll begin that transition where Pluto will finish its work in Capricorn and begin its work in Aquarius, right? Changing up science, tech, innovation, themes of freedom, liberation, peace, rebellion, all these things can come into focus with Pluto here. And Pluto will be at the 0 degrees of Aquarius spot, right? Now, this is a spot where if we backtrack to the year 2020, Saturn and Jupiter conjuncted at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So it's activating that spot. So what that can mean is that if we look at our life, say December 2020, because December 21st, 2020, Saturn and Jupiter conjuncted at 0 degrees of Aquarius. If we backtrack our lives to that point, there's something about that time period that Pluto will activate this year starting in March. And Pluto will finally enter Aquarius next year, 2024. Right? So for the next 2 years, almost a year and a half, 2 years, we'll see this Capricorn theme closing out and this Aquarian theme starting out, but it's not fully into Aquarius yet. It will be in 2024. But whatever said and done, March of this year, we can see major shifts. We can see themes changing quite drastically, right? Aquarius is still going to be highlighted though, right? Because Saturn is leaving it, yet Pluto is entering it. So those Aquarian themes of science, tech, innovation, the internet, right? Advancement, technology, peace, rebellion, equality, freedom, astrology, all these themes will continue, right? Maybe in a different way, because what Saturn does is, which it has been doing since 2020, is it makes us feel these themes in a very tangible way, right? Pluto is more subtle. Pluto is intense, but it's more internal, it's more subtle. Saturn is more material, external. So we see it more, it's more tangible with Saturn in Aquarius. With Pluto in Aquarius, the transformation will be more hidden, more deep, more subconscious, more subtle, more slow, right? But by the end of it, it's like it would have changed a lot. So that's Pluto. You feel the transformation with Pluto, but once you're at the other end of it, it's so slow in a way that you feel like, yeah, I was always like this. So that's Pluto. Now let's move on to the next important thing, which are the eclipses. So this year, the eclipses are in April and May and then in October. So we have a new moon solar eclipse on 20th April, right, which is at 29 degrees of Aries to 0 degrees of Taurus. And this eclipse is going to square Pluto, 90-degree angle with Pluto. And what this means in a nutshell, of course, we are going to discuss the energies in detail as the eclipse approaches, but just as an overview, in a square to Pluto, this can be an extremely transformative eclipse, right? Because Pluto is going to be at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and this eclipse is at 29 degrees of Aries to 0 degrees of Taurus. So a big transformation point, 20th April. Then we have the next eclipse on May 5th, which is a lunar eclipse, right? And this lunar eclipse is happening in the sign of Scorpio, and it is opposing Uranus, right? So what that means is that this eclipse has this energy of being sudden. It has this energy of sudden changes, unexpected changes about it. And again, we will discuss what this eclipse means in detail when it is a little bit more close. So April into May, we have eclipses, and eclipses that are quite potent and powerful, especially the new moon solar eclipse on 20th April, which is in a square to Pluto. Moving on to the next thing, we have Jupiter entering the sign of Taurus on May 16th, right? So the first few months of this year, Jupiter will speed through the sign of Aries, right? December, it re-entered Aries, December 2022, and till May of this year, it will go through the sign of Aries, right? So that it can enter Taurus on May 16th. And what that means is that the beginning of the year with Jupiter in Aries, this is a lot of energy to initiate. This is a lot of energy to start things, to begin a 12-year cycle. But Jan can feel very slow. So more like end January, we'll start to maybe see that energy of let's initiate, let's start, let's begin, let's move forward, really kick in with Jupiter in Aries, right? Jupiter is also a magnifier, so it will magnify Aries. Aries is, like I said, initiative, it's action, it's about moving forward, it's about going after what you want on the positive. On the negative, Aries is impulsive. Aries is a sign that does not really think of the consequences. Aries is a Mars ruled energy, and Mars is the sign of aggression and war, so those themes can be highlighted as well with Jupiter in Aries. So that's still May, right? And in May, May 16th, it will enter Taurus, highlighting, magnifying Taurian themes. Taurus is to do with finances, it's a financial sign, it's to do with the economy, it's to do with currencies, it's to do with food resources and raw materials. In all of 2020, these themes of the economy, of the raw materials, of the food resources, of currencies, of economies was extremely highlighted, and it still is. And that's because Rahu, the North Node, has been in the sign of Taurus all of 2020. It still is. Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus since 2019. It still is. So these themes of the economy, currencies, finances, raw materials, resources, all that has been magnified in 2020. And with Jupiter entering this sign, with the North Node there till about 17th July, and with Uranus there for another few years, these themes will be more magnified, right? Because Jupiter is a magnifier as well. So a lot of focus can be put on these themes, on the economy, on the currencies, on finances, on food resources, on raw materials, that sort of thing. Jupiter also brings lessons, right? So it can maybe bring lessons regarding these things. But Jupiter is also benefic, right? So maybe a silver lining there, but usually a benefic, yes, but Jupiter can just magnify things as well. So just keep that in mind, that there's going to be a lot of focus on Taurus starting May of this year. Now, another thing I want to mention is that Jupiter will conjunct Rahu, the North Node, on June 1st in the sign of Taurus. And this is going to highlight the Taurian themes that I mentioned a little bit more. Now, that's regarding Jupiter. The next important thing happens in July. July 17th, we'll have the North Node change signs. Since Jan of 2022, the North Node has been in the sign of Taurus and the South Node has been in the sign of Scorpio. And now the nodes are going to shift signs. Rahu, the North Node, will enter the sign of Aries, and Ketu, the South Node, will enter the sign of Libra. The North Node Rahu is a magnifier, right? So now it will start to magnify themes associated with Aries. Aries is to do with initiative, moving forward, taking action, new beginnings, right? As I had mentioned, Aries is also a Mars ruled energy, so themes associated with Mars, such as aggression, impulsiveness, war, all these themes can be brought to focus as well. With the South Node in Libra, there'll be a lot of focus on relationships, right? These can be legal relationships, relationships with your spouse, relationships with your business partner, that sort of thing. Right, so these are the two things that are going to be highlighted with the nodal shift. Slight change in focus from Taurus and Scorpio to Aries and Libra. So slight change in focus from economies, currencies, raw materials, food resources to taking initiative, starting things, moving forward, taking action, but at the same time, aggression and impulsiveness, right? But Taurus will continue to be highlighted because Jupiter is in Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus, right? On the other hand, we will maybe see a shift. South Node will shift from Scorpio. So over the past year, 18 months, Scorpio South Node is about releasing everything, right? It's about releasing whatever's inside. It's about letting go of a lot. It's a clean out, right? Scorpio is whatever's buried deep within, it comes to the surface. So that's been a major theme for the past 18 months with Ketu in Scorpio. But now with Ketu in Libra, a lot of focus will start to shift to relationships, right? And this is relationships in our personal lives and relationships on a larger scale. So diplomatic relationships, that sort of thing. So that's July. We'll see certain themes shift in July as well, but the Taurian themes are here to stay as Jupiter will be in Taurus. The next thing I want to talk about is that in July, right now, July 23rd, we have Pluto square the nodes, right? So those are the dates where the square will be very intense, but you'll see a build up to July. And when a planet is squaring the nodes, it is magnified. And what is Pluto? Pluto is transformation. It's destruction for the sake of creation. So we might see these themes really highlighted in our personal lives and collectively as well. And in July, we also have Venus go retrograde, right? July 22nd. Venus will retrograde in the sign of Leo. It will be retrograde till September 3rd. So that time zone, right, when Venus is retrograde, it's not the best time to take serious, concrete decisions regarding finances, regarding relationships, right? It's more a review time. It's more a time to take a second look at relationships, at our financial projects, at our self-worth, at our skills, that sort of thing. It's not the time to do something concrete concerning relationships and or finances, right? It's more a review time. So just keep that in mind. So the next thing I want to touch upon is the fact that in October, we will have eclipses, right? So the first eclipse is on October 14th. It is a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra, right? And this eclipse is also squaring Pluto. So another transformative eclipse in the month of October. Of course, we will dissect the energies of the eclipse as we get closer to October, but just a brief that it is a transformative one as well. And the next eclipse is on October 28th. This is a full moon lunar eclipse at about 5 degrees of Taurus, right? And this one is conjunct Jupiter. So we'll talk more about this eclipse as the date approaches. So these are the highlights of this year in Western astrology, right? These are the main highlights. And to sum it up, the beginning of the year can feel slightly slow, not the best time to launch something new. So that's till about Jan 20th. Jan 20th, things can start to pick up pace. And in March, we can see major themes shift, right? Because Saturn enters Pisces and Pluto enters Aquarius, a big shifting point. Another thing that's happening in March that I didn't speak about is the fact that Jupiter will conjunct Chiron in Aries. We'll talk more about that as it happens, but that's also happening in March, right? April into May, we have eclipses. The first eclipse that's happening on 20th April is in a square with Pluto, very transformative, and the next eclipse on May 5th is in an opposition to Uranus, sudden unexpected changes. Then we have Jupiter changing signs in the month of May, so again we'll see a subtle shift of themes, although the themes that have been highlighted in 2022, currencies, economies, finances, that sort of thing will stay. July is a big month with the nodes shifting into Aries and Libra, Venus going retrograde, and Pluto squaring the nodes, right? And again, October of this year, we have eclipse season. So these are the broad themes of this year, the major events that are taking place. I have not covered the retrogrades of the outer planets. I have not covered a few other things. These are just the broad highlights, and you'll obviously get more details in the other videos where I cover the moon energies and that sort of thing. So I hope this video was helpful in some way, and now I hope to see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.